Moorpork was celebrating. No one was quite sure why, but they'd worked themselves up for a celebration tonight, and it seemed a shame to waste all that effort. Anyway, it had been an interesting day, and people of Ankh-Morpork set great store by entertainment. It was about to become even more interesting inside the palace, where a group of the city's leaders were meeting.
Please be seated, gentlemen. I'm sorry things are a little different, but the king hopes that you will bear it until matters can be more suitably organized.
The king, is that him hanging there? Well, long life to him, I say.
Yes. The king graciously desires it to be known that it would be pleased to receive coronation gifts from the population at large. Nothing complex, of course, simply any precious gems or gold that they might have by them and can easily spare. Come on. My gentlemen, this is most unexpected. Please be aware that any tribute should be entirely voluntary. I hope I make that absolutely clear.
As crystal. And these entirely voluntary tributes the city is about to make, they go...
on the Horde. Which brings us on to a further matter of some delicacy, which I'm sure that well-traveled, broad-minded gentlemen such as yourselves will have no difficulty in accepting. I am referring to the matter of the king's diet.
Diet?
Yes.
How often is the king hungry?
All the time. But it eats once a month. It's really a ceremonial occasion, as an act of bonding, as it were, between king and subjects.
Of course it would be.
No, the exact nature of the meal. Are we talking about young maidens here?
Sheer prejudice. The age is immaterial. Marital status is, however, important. And social class, something to do with flavor. Now, please consider it. After all, just one a month. And when you think of the alternatives. At any rate, the king will need your answers by the end of the day. You are dismissed.
The city's leaders left, one by one, each wondering what the future held. Back inside the palace, which is now missing several floors and ceilings due to the king's redecorating, Lupine Wonse is pondering his next move.
I could try running, but it would find me again. It will always be able to find me. It can smell my mind. And then it will flame me and...
Not you.
Ah!
I would never flame you. What does voluntary mean?
Voluntary, means doing something of your own free will.
But they have no free will. They will increase my horde, or I will flame them. None can control me. None can defeat me.
This is certainly the case, but this way is safer and better. There are ways and ways. You know, ways and ways. All the roaring and flaming you see, you don't need it.
Foolish ape. How else can I make them do my bidding?
They'll do it of their own free will. And in time, they'll come to believe it was their own idea. It'll be a tradition. Oh, take it from me. We humans are adaptable creatures. In fact, before long, if somebody comes along and tells them that a dragon king is a bad idea, they'll kill him themselves. I know people, you see.
But I will be eating people.
I'm sorry, but that's just how we are. It's all to do with survival, I think.
You have the effrontery to be squeamish. But we were dragons. We were supposed to be cruel, cunning, heartless, and terrible. But this much I can tell you, you ape. We never burned and tortured and ripped one another apart. and called it morality.
Going from one dragon to another, we now look in on Errol, who's being checked over by the expert dragon keeper, Lady Sybil Ramkin.
Damned if I know what's going on in there. What's he been eating?
The last thing I think was a kettle.
A kettle of what?
No, a kettle.
Oh.
A black thing with a handle and a spout. He sniffed it for ages, then he ate it, and then we found him eating soot out of the chimney.
He doesn't look sick exactly, just fat.
He whines a lot, and you can sort of see things moving under his skin. You know what I think? You know you said they can arrange their digestive system around? I think he's trying to make some sort of very hot flame. He wants to challenge the big dragon. Every time it takes to the air, he just sits there whining. Anyway, I can't leave him down there. We can't look after him properly. It's not as if we need to find out where the dragon is now.
I think you're being a bit silly about all this.
Oh, I reckon this damn city and the dragon just about deserve one another.
Oh, I see. Well, don't worry about Errol. I'll take good care of him.
On the rooftop of a local whiskey distillery, the other 3 members of the Watch are going over their plan to shoot the dragon and the vulnerables.
You know, I was damn good with this bow when I were a lad.
You keep on telling us. Now, Carrot, about how big is a dragon's vulnerables, roughly?
Oh, it can be a tiny spot.
I was sort of afraid about that.
Oh, chin up, fellows. You know that when there's just one chance which might just work, well, it works. Otherwise, there'd be no... Well, the gods just wouldn't let it be any other way. They wouldn't.
That's right. When you really need 'em most, 1,000,000 to 1 chances always crop up. Well-known fact.
What's up, Sarge? Do you want to live forever?
I don't know. Ask me again in 500 years. Wait a minute. What if it's not 1,000,000 to 1 chance?
What do you mean?
Well, what if it's just 1,000 to 1 chance? Anyone ever heard of 1,000 to 1 chance coming up?
Oh, don't be daft, Sergeant. No one ever saw 1,000 to 1 chance come up. The odds against it are millions to 1.
We could have a real problem here.
Yes. Why, if you aimed properly, it could be a lot less than 1,000,000 to 1 chance. Yeah. It could be 100 to 1. Oh. If the dragon's flying slowly, and it's a big spot, it could be practically a certainty.
It's a certainty, but it might just work. Nah.
So, what we've got to do then is adjust the odds.
Ah.
Back in the palace, Lupine Wonse, former secretary to the patrician, current secretary to the Dragon King, is sifting through the debris in the patrician's rooms. He has prized up a board, dragged out a long black robe, and is groping under the floorboards for something else when he's surprised by...
Looking for this book, were you? The Summoning of Dragons?
Okay, clever of you to guess.
Under the floorboards. First place anyone. Look, rather foolish that was.
Yes, I know. I suppose the veterinary didn't think anyone would be searching. You know, of course, he was always scheming and things like that. He was involved in most of the plots against himself. That was how he ran things. He enjoyed it. Obviously, he called it up and couldn't control it.
So what were you doing?
Well, I wondered if it might be possible to reverse the spell. Or maybe call up another dragon. They would fight then.
Sort of balance of terror, you mean?
It could be worth a try. Now, look, about your job. I know we were a bit overwrought at the time, so of course, if you want it back, there'll be no
Run?
I don't...
I saw someone run away the night the dragon flamed that house. I remember thinking at the time that he moved in a funny way. And then the other day I saw you running away from the dragon. Could almost have been the same man, I thought.
What? That's just ridiculous. That's not proof. Besides, you can help me. There may be a way to destroy the dragon, or at least...
The dragon's here! You can't channel it, or persuade it, or negotiate with it. There's no truce with dragons. You brought it here, and we're stuck with it, you bastard.
Well, what are you going to do? I see. You know, that's the trouble with people like you. You're always against anything attempted for the betterment of mankind, but you never and ever have any proper plans of your own. Guards! Guards! You didn't expect that, did you? We've still got guards here, you know. And not so many, of course. Not many people want to come in. I wouldn't put up a fight if I were you. They're desperate and uneasy men, but very highly paid. Throw him into the special dungeon.
No, wait.
Owing to the foresight of the patrician, the dungeons were quite comfortable. Vimes was thrown in with the Lord Vetinari, who, as it turns out, was living rather well.
Ah, Vimes, I heard you were on the way down. Jolly good. Care for a beer?
Oh, hello, sir.
In fact, after the librarian discovered where Vimes was and rescued him by tearing the iron bars out of the masonry, the patrician elected to stay rather than to set foot into the chaos of the city. Vimes and the librarian set off for the courtyard to try and prevent the dragon's sacrifice. And back in Lady Ramkin's dragon pens, Errol was having more gastric difficulties. These problems were as nothing compared to the difficulties the rank were having on the rooftops, trying to adjust the odds.
It looks promising. We might be nearly there. I reckon the chances of a man with soot on his face, his tongue sticking out, standing on one leg and singing the hedgehog song, ever eating a dragon's vulnerables would be, what did you say, Carrot?
Oh, 1,000,000 to 1, I reckon. Oh, bloody hell. Look down there. They're chaining a woman to a rock. It's Lady Ramkin.
Never!
He's right, it is her.
The buggers! I'll give 'em vulnerables. Well-spoken lady like her. It's a disgrace. Give me an arrow.
Sergeant?
This is what it comes to. Decent women can't walk down the street without being eaten. Right, you bastards. Your geography.
What? Sergeant?
Can't miss.
Sergeant!
Shut up, you two. I can't concentrate when you keep shouting.
Sergeant, it's coming!
This is it. It's 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it might just work.
Fire the bloody arrow!
Carrot, did your old granddad ever say what a vulnerable spot looks like?
No. Oh.
It was 1,000,000 to 1 chance, and who was to say that somewhere in the millions of other possible universes it might not have worked? But in this universe, the arrow bounced off a scale and clattered away into oblivion. The dragon twisted its wings, swung its huge bulk around on a pivot of air, and bore down on the roof. The dragon flame was a beautifully controlled line of plasma. It went through the roof like the fist of an angry god and into the big copper vat containing 1,000 gallons of freshly made whiskey.
Oh, shit!
Fortunately, the chances of anyone surviving the ensuing explosion were exactly 1,000,000 to 1. And in the courtyard, Captain Vimes was making a discovery of his own.
You!
You!
But why you?
Captain Vimes, you will indulge me by not waving that cleaver around and stop putting it to its proper use.
Oh, yes, right.
Oh,
But as Vimes freed Lady Ramkin, the dragon landed nearby.
jolly well done. It nearly worked.
ARTC.org.